So you still get a little bit of both, because if you break it, one of our favorite things to do with angst, and I recommend, everybody always does it. When it's about to get really bad, throw in a fluff piece. Because, and one I will never forget this comment, one person caught it. They were like, wow, this scene was really happy. What's going to happen the next chapter? The next chapter, Keith gets into a car accident. So it's like, throw in the fluff, because that sometimes can make your angst better. And then with the Ultimate Wingman, I threw a little bit of angst with Keith's backstory, because that connects him closer and drives down his obstacle, because he had to face his past to move forward with change. So you got a little bit of angst to make the fluff keep going. So it's always good to add elements of both in there. We especially love to write small comedic chapters. Comedic chapters are the best. My favorite person to write in every fan fiction is Pidge, because I make her sassy, I make her like, hey.
I wrote Pidge with Steve.
You did. But in Lion's Change, she calls Keith Jamboy the entire book. And the reason why is because Keith goes knocking on her door, neighbor across the hall, because he has no friends. And Lance said, go introduce yourself to your neighbors.
Bring her a gift.
Bring her a gift. So he goes to the store and buys a jar of Smucker's jam. Knocks on the door, tiny little Pidge is like, hello. It's like, here, I brought you a gift. You brought me jam.
Literally a store-bought bargain from Chicago.
Smucker's jam. Yes. You went to the store and bought me jam. Yes. Your name is Jamboy now, you're my best friend, bye.
Literally set up the door in his face.
And that's how Pidge is introduced. Little comedic moments like that. And the entire fanfiction, she calls him Jamboy. I want shirts.
I make shirts.
Yeah, I want Jamboy shirts, please. She eventually calls Lance not boyfriend, and then when they're boyfriends, it's boyfriend. But yeah, I love writing Pidge. She's my little comedic ball of fluff. But those little things too, like adding those little elements there, because then when something tragic happens, to watch the person who's been spunky and funny the entire series so far, you know it's really, really serious. And it's really sad, because like at one point he's in the hospital and he's in a coma, and she brings him a jar of jam and puts it next to him on the bed. Oh. Look how I set up the happiness and just knocked him down. See how that works? Why not so? Yeah. So do that. Do little things like that when you're writing your plots. Someone asked us, so how exactly do you write romance? Because they have a hard time with writing just straight up gushy love romance and love stories and all that kind of stuff. And my advice was, don't actually write it as a romance. Write it as what the conflict is, what the resolution to that conflict is going to be, and then add the love in there. When I wrote Wingman, I didn't plot it out like Lance and Keith are going to get together and this is a college movie. I plotted it out of Keith has a horrible backstory, that he was in foster care his whole life and trusts no one. And he doesn't want change. He finally found himself in a place that he's happy, he's content, he's going to get his degree, he's going to get his job, he's just going to move on with his life. This is it, this is the track, this is where I'm going to go. And then he meets Lance. That's how I wrote the story. I didn't think about it as a romance. I thought about it as Keith's conflict, and the reward is them together. And that's my advice for writing plot. Don't think about it like I just got to add a bunch of cute romantic moments. Think about it as a plot. Think about it as a story.
Allow those moments to develop naturally. It's the same way as if you were in an actual relationship, even when there's a friendship. You don't force it. It just kind of evolves and develops on its own. If I had tried to force a friendship with this one, it wouldn't have happened. It would.
She hated me when she first met me this one. Really hated me. Bad. All right, creating your universe. When you're creating your universe, of course, there's two really key points about creating your universe. The first one is, are you going to be writing an alternate universe, or are you going to be writing it within the canon universe? If you're writing it within the canon universe, that's where your research really comes in, because you really have to know what's going on. In Voltron, there's a lot of science. There's a reason why I don't write a lot of canon, because I'm horrible at science. And I'm one of those people, I like to get the details right. So if I had to sit there and study all the science of Voltron, it's never going to happen. I'm an English major, I don't do science. Which is why I write a lot of AUs. With AUs, then you have to create your universe. Even if it's a modern universe, you still have to create a universe for that character. You have to figure out what's going to go on with their life, because creating the universe isn't just the world that they live in, but what is it that's surrounding them. So in Lion's Chains, I had to create Lance and Lance's family.
His entire family.
I had to create the culture of his family. I had to create every single one of his siblings, his niece. I had to create, that was his universe. I had to create it.
So I guess for research, right? Because I think that's where I struggle the most, is like sitting down and actually just
Researching.
Yeah. Do you break? Do you like?
She does.
'Cause
Oh yeah. It's not a one-day thing.
And we found
It's
that
never a one-day
it's
thing.
very easy, especially for doing something modern, something in like realistic, like Lion Chains. It's a modern day military AU. We chose a place that we're familiar with. We chose Orlando.
We chose Orlando. It takes place here in Orlando.
Because she lived in Orlando, I currently live in Orlando. So it wasn't that we were both familiar with, and we were able to use actual places and actual things that happened in Orlando in the story.
I worked at Universal Studios for 5 years. I made Lance be a Universal Studios employee.
Okay.
Enjoy, there's a whole fanfiction writing. I would post immediately after I wrote my first chapter. And now there's a bunch of fanfictions out there that will never get finished. Yeah. But we've noticed that if we write up to like literally the halfway point and then start posting, one, it's gonna help your readership, because then you can guarantee a chapter a week. By the time we started posting, we were already on chapter 20. We had already written up to chapter 20.
How much are the books have?
That's 35. So A, we knew how to tease our readers because we knew what was coming. But B, we also guaranteed them a chapter a week. And when you guarantee the update, the readers will stay. 2, it keeps you motivated because then you know you're getting there. And if you write one chapter now, post it, and then eventually you become demotivated, you're never going to finish that fic. And if you started earning a readership, you're going to lose them. And they're not going to trust if you post something else. So it's always good to try to write as many chapters as possible and then start posting just one chapter a week. It doesn't matter that you're 20 chapters ahead. One a week, because you never know when you're going to get a writer's block. You never know when you might have to take a break and come back to it. But at least you know, hey, I've written 20 chapters. If I take 2 weeks off, I'm only posting 2 chapters in those 2 weeks. And you can keep going, you keep your like readership, and it really does help.
We've even had to pause one day when we finally caught up to ourselves what we were writing. We had to tell them, look, we're gonna go on a week-long hiatus. Some things came out that were personal, but because we kept such a steady schedule, our readers trusted us and knew that we were going to come back.
It was the hurricane. The hurricane forced us to stop. I mean,
I was Central Florida. She was on the coast.
Yeah.
It went straight up between the
no
two of
internet.
us.
I mean, it's like, sorry guys, you can't update on Saturday. We don't know if we're gonna have power. But they knew. They knew that we would come back with the fan fiction.
We came back to so many wonderful
So many
comments.
wonderful little comments and wishing us safety and all that stuff. One shot. One shots are great, especially for first-time writers, because it just lets you practice. And you can practice your beginning, middle, and end without dedicating yourself to having to come back to the piece.
Yes.
So I highly recommend starting with one shots. That's how I started when I was 18 writing Inuyasha fan fiction. That's the best way to do it. So practice with those. What's really good with one shots, fluff pieces tend to be better for one shots. Angst tends to be better for multi-chapter. Because angst makes you want more. While fluff, you're happy. You can make any fluff reader very happy with a one shot. They went on a date. That's the plot of the story. The reader reads it. That was so cute. No. Fluff is wonderful for one shots. Angst you typically want to build up. So angst is typically better for
And I will
chapter.
say this, I have an angst Voltron AU. It's an apocalyptic AU. But I started, and I got a chapter and a half into it, and I stopped.
Never posted those.
Never posted, so it's just sitting there on my drive, going, finish me. It will likely never be finished.
Any questions between the difference or recommendations of writing a chapter to one shot? Again, I highly recommend starting with one shots. Yep.
What if you created an original character with a whole bunch of friends, and everybody else has an original character? Chapters are one shots because we only do one shots.
You can. What's great about AO3 is you can do a series. Have you
Yes.
ever noticed the series function on AO3?
never been on AO3, so I have to check
First and
it out.
foremost, post on AO3. Oh my God, get on AO3 now. Archive of our own. Get on there.
I will say I have gone on AO3 before to try and find other fan fictions of other series, and I have found series where it was a bunch of one-shots. They were all a bunch of one-shots, but they tied in. There was something connected, and whether it was because the character in the first one ended up with the second character in the second one, or something, but because they were all from the same universe and the different characters, whatever connected them, they put them in a series, and they were able to actually show it. And it was to the point where I was actually invested in these characters, even though I only met them for like maybe 5,000 words or 10,000 words. It didn't matter, because I knew I was going to continue this world that I was falling in love with in that series. So having original characters and only doing a one shot for like each one, or a set of putting them in a group together and doing one, that's fine. There's books out there that have events like that. Lion's Shade is written on a day-to-day basis. So we skip days, we skip weeks of mundane things that would have happened, like, oh, you went to work that day. You don't want to know that. So we would go to the next event in their life, which is it's like a string of one-shots almost.
It is. Because every day is a different event. But series, series. Right in the series. That's my big one. So somebody asked us, how do you come up with a filler plot when needed? And my answer was, we don't. Fillers are horrible. Don't do that. Don't write fillers. The reason why they asked us this is because they thought that Lion's Chains had a lot of filler, and in reality it didn't. It had a lot of subplots. We created a lot of characters, and we created a lot of subplots. And every single one of their subplots got their own resolution and conflict, but it's still always tied back to the main plot of what's happening with Keys and Lance. So it's not technically a filler, because without that subplot happening, the main plot would have never gone anywhere. The main plot required the subplot to be resolved. It was part of the main plot line. So it's not a filler, it required it in the main plot line.
And we all know fillers from TV shows and animes. You get that one random beach day, or that one random
The beach episode!
spring episode that has absolutely nothing to do with the actual plot of the show, but they needed to fill the episode, so they stuck it in there and did.
A good filler episode still actually has some form of tie-in or push out to something bigger in the plot. And that's the big piece. If you feel like you have to do a filler, really think about it, and is it really a filler, or is it some way to subtly move the plot forward?
So we actually do have a scene that I felt, and this was a very hard thing for me to write, in Lion's Chains, where it felt like filler to me. It felt like it was the Jimmy Dade. I can't stand that scene, and it's still in there. We left it. It's a good scene. It moves the plot along, and it did add some level and some depth.
It showed relationship building.
It showed the building, but to me, it didn't seem necessary. I understood how it connected in, and she loves the scene.
I do, because it's a Disney date with a 12-year-old at Disney Springs, and they take her dancing at bongos. I think it's so cute. Sorry.
But see how sometimes what looks like filler to someone else, and people may say, oh, well, your entire story is filler, but it's not. It's those little tiny moments that eventually build into the larger plot. The key is to connect it back to your bigger picture.
Because it feels like a filler, because you're like, okay, these two are two uncles are taking her out on a date to Disney Springs. This is cute. But it ends with Keith realizing, oh crap, I'm in love with Lance. It moved the plot. That's literally how the scene ends. Like, he's still like, I'm dating someone else.
You know, we did that too.
Yeah, we did that too. He's not the nicest person in that book. So you did it! Now what? Step 4, my least favorite step, editing! No matter how great you think you are, you have to edit for the love of all that is good. Has anybody here read a fic that clearly wasn't edited? Did you stop reading the fan fiction? Yes. Yeah. So bad. You need to edit your stories. There is no way around it. You have to edit your stories. I hate editing.
The writing process is the same no matter what you're writing. So as teachers, again, that's what we are. I tell my students, go back and edit. And if you have an issue with reading your own work and editing, hand it to somebody else.
Which I'm gonna get to, that's nice. But yeah, it's a tedious process, but Lord, you have to edit, like you have to do it. So different ways to edit. Leave your work for a few days. This is what I like to do. I like to write my first draft and leave it. Don't look at it, don't open the document, just leave it. Do other things. Sometimes I'll leave it by just continuing to write. And the week before posting it is when I edit. So I haven't looked at that chapter for weeks. I don't remember the key words that I used. I edit right before posting. It's fresh in my mind. I'm gonna catch way more errors that way than if I edit like the next day. So I didn't technically leave the project, but I left the chapter.
So what I did when she would do that, like she said before, we got to chapter 20 before we started posting. When she said, I'm gonna start posting, I went, okay, scroll back to the top. I started reading from the very beginning, and I went straight through. And I just sat there on my laptop, reading, fixing, reading, highlighting, leaving her comments. Because the big bulk things, I knew she was gonna be able to fix. The little typos,
I'm horrible at that.
I was able to keep up with them better. A lot of them I would fix as we wrote.
But that's a great one with a partnership with Code.
That's the co-author thing. But I would actually go through and read it from the beginning. I reread lines changed 10 times. It's done. It's completed. But I still go back and I reread it, especially now that we're changing the names to try and get it published. I've gone back to it again and again. And even though, like I said, it's a finished piece, I still continue to edit it because your writing is never perfect. Perfect is unachievable. It can be fantastic. It can be wonderful. It can be great. It can be mind-blowing. But if you try and reach for perfection, you're never going to reach it because it doesn't exist. And it's not saying that we're not fantastic writers, that we're not great writers. It just doesn't exist. So as soon as you admit that and can accept that to yourself, that you will always be developing and you will always be improving, that's when your writing will become better.
Another one is read it aloud. Sometimes you have to physically hear it to hear the error. This is advice I gave to my students all the time. Read your essay out loud. See what flows, see what doesn't. I no longer can use that advice. I've learned that my fluency has gotten worse over the years for some reason. So my friend gave me a piece of advice. Put it to text-to-speech and have the computer read it to you. This is my new advice that I'm still gonna try now. Yeah, that was a good one. And they have apps for it, which is her advice that's coming down. Another one is print it. Sometimes you see more errors if you type it up, and you see more errors when you have it on paper. I love to do that. I love to print and edit with pen and then go back. She doesn't. But that's a big one for me. Or if you're the other way around, if you're the person who wrote the draft by hand, your editing becomes typing it up because you're going to notice your mistakes as you're copying your work. So that's the other way around. Edit as you go. Like I said, we write on Google Docs. If I'm on a long 4-hour drive visiting my parents down in Miami, I will sit with my phone and edit and read. It's great to do that. If you do a lot of public transportation, I have a lot of friends that do that. When they edit during the public transportation routes because there's nothing to do. You're just waiting to get to your location.
When we drive to go see, my husband and I go to see them or to go see my parents over in Tampa, my husband's actually reading book 1 of our series again. And as he's going through it, he'll stop reading and we'll sit there and have dialogue as he's editing. And he's actually brought up some really good points that we needed to cover. And I keep telling him, just comment on the doc.
Please, so I can see it.
But we do talk about it, and having a second person looking at it to go through it and say, these are loopholes, these are things that this doesn't flow right, definitely helps.
There are some wonderful apps for that text-to-speech that you can upload your fic as a PDF, and then you can hear it on your phone, and then type and edit on your doc. This is something I'm dying to try. I'm definitely going to be doing this with our original work, where I really want to obviously make sure our editing is perfect. When you are editing, what the big pieces that you're looking for is not just grammar and typos, but you're also looking for your continuity. You're looking for your plot development and your character development. Really think and make sure that your plot is going where you wanted it to go. The editing process is important for that as well. So don't think that editing is just catching your grammar and spelling errors. It is also making sure that your plot is going where it needs to go and that your character development is going where it needs to to, that your characters sound like you want them to sound. So make sure that you're looking at it. Editing typically for me is a 2-step process. I edit the first time for continuity, plot, and character development, and then I edit for spelling and grammar. If not, get a beta. Betas are awesome.
I love our betas.
I love our betas. Our betas are amazing.
Our beta's French.
Our beta is French, and she lives in France, and we love her. Hi, Mom. But betas are, you ask a friend to read it for you. What I like to do with Google Docs is I will link them to our doc, but I will put them on comment only, where anything that they type on the document comes out as a comment. So they can't physically change my document. I have to approve for it to change. And you can see all their edits, and then I go through and be like, yep, no, yep, oh, great question, let me edit that. So this is the commission I'm working on, and this is the person who hired me to write it. When I finish a chapter, they read it, and they leave comments of what they liked and what they didn't, because again, they're paying me to write this, so of course I want to make sure that they like the fan fiction. And they are the beta for their own fan fiction. When you do hire a beta, the first time I had a beta, I just posted on Tumblr, looking for a beta for a client's fan fiction, hit me up if you want to. And this wonderful girl from Wales replied to me, and she's like, yeah, sure, I'll do it, that's fine. And I set some expectations. She asked me, what exactly do you want me to do? And I go, mainly I want you to look at plot and making sure that it's going correctly. If you find a spelling error or something, go ahead and change it. But if you have to put your focus on something, this is what I want from you.
Oh, and Google Docs, if you use Google Drive, it allows you to have them make suggestions as opposed to actually editing your document.
And then after that, I said, and if you can have it done by here. It's totally okay to ask your beta for a deadline. If they tell you like, oh, I can't do that, be like, well, thanks for trying, have a great day. But it is totally okay to ask to give a beta expectations and a deadline. It is totally okay, as long as you say that up front. If you throw that to them at the tail end, you're the one that's wrong. You need to tell them the moment they agree to be your beta, this is what I expect, can you do this?
They like the eggs.
Yeah. So do that. Credit your beta. I don't see this enough in fan fictions. I like to credit my beta because they worked hard on my fan fiction too. They're my editor at that point. Credit your beta. It's really nice to do that. I know my betas appreciate it, so always credit them once you post work. Because a lot of times your betas are also writers. So it's kind of nice. All right, so now, is it time to post? Absolutely, time to post. These are the websites we recommend. AO3 is the only one I really recommend. Archive of Our Own, this is our page, Luna Volpus. Fanfiction.net also exists. It's pretty good, but it's kind of old school. Everybody's more on AO3 now. There's the Wattpad. I hear so many bad things from that one, so I'm just gonna tell you no. And I put it on there just to be nice.
Hey, I read one good thing on Wattpad.
Good one, exactly one. That's the trick. One, you read one good thing on
Found
there.
the dice in the haystack, is what it is.
Archive of Our Own by far is my favorite.
Books. Like,
One of my favorite
like all
ones.
these,
So
like,
find your website,
literature
post.
stories.
When you are posting it, write your tags. Be as specific as you can with your tags. There's 2 reasons for it. 1, it's how you find readers. If I don't put down angst, this relationship, this happens, this happens, this happens, there's less likely that my fic will come out on a search.
Yes, the more tags you have,
The more tags you have, the better it's gonna be. And it's okay technically to put spoilers in the tag too. Okay? So go ahead and put as many tags. The other reason why tags are so important is trigger warning. Like we said, we like to write fics that are very deep. And when we did Steam, I don't know how many trigger warnings for the rape scene I put on
And
that
we
fic.
still got comments.
And
people like,
I
"How
still
could
got
you?"
somebody to tell me, how could you do that? It was like, really? It's in the tags. Look, rape non-consensual. Like, it's in there. In the author summary, I wrote down, this is the area where the rape's gonna happen. And then I even underlined it for you so you knew the exact scene where it was located so you could easily skip it if you didn't want to read it. And somebody still commented on that. But for the most part, most people did it because then they can skip it. We like to rate most of our fan fictions teen because the majority of them are teen, but we do like to write smut. It's a thing that we do. But every time I do it, I do the underline thing so that anybody who's uncomfortable with reading that kind of stuff knows where to skip it, because once that line disappears, the scene is done. So I do little things like that. That's my way to help readers and trigger warn them.
And we do tell readers, hey, just so you know, there is going to be a scene in this chapter.
Do it in the author notes right before the chapter is posted. That's why I like AO3, because they do author's notes at the beginning and at the end of every chapter. So I do a lot of the trigger warnings and stuff in that first part, so that if they want to skip the chapter, they can skip the chapter.
I don't know AO3, but is there an option to like show hide?
No.
No?
The only thing you can do is quote, which is what I do.
Got it.
And I tell, but that's why the author notes are important, because I tell them I did separate the scene for you. When you see the line, that's the scene, you can skip it. That's my big, and that's from like old school days, like doing that separation thing. Not a lot of people do it nowadays.
Most people do it on a separate chapter now.
Yeah, they do it like, this is this month chapter, please skip if you don't want to read it. I do the separation piece. Also, it's okay to casually mention that you want comments. I always say, guys, please leave a comment, I'd love to hear your feedback.
And for the most part, they do. They see that and they know that like their voice is valid and they actually will be heard, because we read all of them.
Yeah.
We really do.
I read every single one. So it's okay. So you're done. Congratulations, you posted a fic. Are you really done? Let's be real. Once you write a fan fiction, you're always going to come back for more. So then the next process is rinse, repeat. It is what it is. It's very difficult to not write a fan fiction and just not keep going. Some things to just not be discouraged by. Don't compare yourself to other fanfic writers. You will get yourself down, because you will find someone that you just think is better than you. Don't do that. Just don't do that.
But do uplift other fanfic.
Yes. If you do read a fan fiction, be like, this is so awesome, I love it. Always don't care too much about how many views, kudos, or comments you get. One of the biggest things that us as writers that it does kind of suck, is that not a lot of people really do leave comments. We know that maybe this chapter was read by 500 people and we received 10 comments. I don't know if you liked it. I don't know if you hate it, but then I post another chapter, there's the 500 again. I'd like some feedback. That it is what it is. But does that matter that I didn't get a comment? Is it going to stop me from writing? No. So don't worry too much about your comments. And another big thing with comments, don't take it personal if somebody writes you a negative one. We've received negative ones. Someone screamed at me for that rape scene. It was pretty bad.
When she texted me that comment, I looked at her and I was like, you're being dumb, stop being emotional.
Yeah.
And
I worked really hard on that scene. It was very hard.
We've had a couple recently. We've had one recently, I believe, that was so shocking.
It was like a page essay critiquing our entire universe.
Everything about how we did, and this was the original universe that we've spent years working on, about how it was unrealistic for this one village to exist in isolation, and how it didn't make sense for their culture to be that way. And what they were doing was they were trying to apply the way our world as Earth runs
In this
into an alternate fantasy universe. They were applying the same laws and the same
and
culture.
we created different laws. We created completely different laws.
It got to the point where I was like, it's one of those people who's literally being judgmental for the sake of being, oh gosh, judgmental. This is the other one.
So yeah, so you are going to get negative comments. It is going to happen. Read it. Sometimes your negative comments are good critique. Like I've received, like one of my favorite ones with Wingman was, I don't even consider it negative comments. They were true critiques, because they were telling me, you do know that in Spanish, te quiero does not mean the same as te amo. And I'm sitting here going, yeah, I know. Wait until next chapter, please. And then Lance gives this entire speech on what's the difference between te quiero and te amo. So it's okay sometimes to receive that kind of stuff, but that's positive. That's good criticism. Because if I wasn't a frequent Spanish speaker, that is something I would have learned. Because the person was telling me they loved it, but I was using the wrong terminology. I do speak Spanish though, so I knew exactly what I was doing.
I just received critique on Keith for Lion's Chains. Again, not a soldier, so I didn't understand quite the ranking system when it comes to how they move up in the ranks and whatnot. And so I actually had someone that like, I don't mean to, and she very sweet about it. She messaged and she was like, I don't mean to be rude or anything, but my brother's in the military, this is how it works. And we had a full 3-hour conversation about how that ranking up works. I went, okay, we're gonna go change that now.
And then we fixed it. So those are good criticisms. You will get good criticisms too. So there is only one person that you ever need to please with your writing, and that is you.
To enjoy what you're doing. We write because we love to write.
Yes.
I think that's one that's right.
So,
I would hope.
yeah. And with practice, you will get better. I'm 32 years old. I've been writing since I was 18, and only now am I feeling confident with my writing. Only now am I seeking a publisher and an agent, because now I feel comfortable with my skills. It takes time. It takes,
to write with me, by the way.
Yeah, it was really fun.
And I had to trick her into writing our original series.
But it's okay to mess up. You are going to mess up, but with practice, you will get better. All right. Some last advice: be patient with yourself. It is amazing what 1,500 words will do with your fan fiction and improving your skills, and just have fun with it. I mean, there are so many headcanons in these things that are just inside jokes for myself, and I love them. And then they became inside jokes for my readers, which is awesome. I have a reader who, one of her goals in life is to come to a convention that we host, walk up to her dressed as Keith and give her a jar of jam.
And the person is dressed as Pitch.
And the person is dressed as Pitch. So I mean, just have fun with it. So before I just kind of open up for questions, with promoting, we have an Instagram. We talk about our writing on our Instagram all the time. We have a Twitter. I have a Tumblr, but all I do with Tumblr is post my stuff and leave because Tumblr's. Instagram, love that one. I do a lot of things, like right now I'm live streaming on my Instagram, and the people from around the world who enjoy our stuff, our Instagram.
All right.
They're watching it right now because they want to watch it. So here we are. Promote yourself. It's okay to promote yourself a little bit. Great way to promote yourself is with art. But I will say this: don't ever ask an artist for free art unless they are your real life friend and you guys have a great bond with one another and they totally want to join you on this project. If you want art, pay for it.
We've actually paid for original artwork for it.
Please pay for it. Those artists, a lot of times, like, that's their job. That's what they're studying to do. And being an artist is not that easy, and it does not make a lot of money. So please be nice with those commissioners and, like, pay them their money if you really want art. But you might eventually gain a small fan base, and then you get fan art.
Or fan cosplay.
That we gave out a copy of our book. Same one here. This person did a full cosplay of Keith from Steam, and then edited the fire. Please get the chapter ahead, and she drew art, and we posted it with our chapter. So it can happen. I mean, we've received, like, there was a girl from Australia who really liked it. She braided us 2 little bracelets for Keith and Lance and shipped it. No, this is a different person, and they shipped it to us. And
we've gotten random gifts.
Like, we've gotten random gifts, and then when I announced that I was pregnant with my son, a lot of my readers actually started sending me presents for my kid. I actually just received a large box from Australia with clothes, a quilted red blanket, some candy treats, all because this person met me through my fan fiction. And they wanted to say thank you because they really enjoyed it. And now my kid has a bunch of new stuff. Which is kind of nice. So it does happen, as long as you're kind and courteous with your fan base. You know, always say thank you. Just always show them how much you love them. I do mini contests all the time. Just to give, like, these 3 books are actually not my copies. These are going to my fan once I'm done with this panel. Yeah, they're all signed, like, and they're ready to go to our fan base because this was a contest that we held, and we're giving them our fan fiction. So be nice with you, especially if you start gaining some form of popularity. So, any questions at all about anything from our panel? Yes.
Will you at some point read your story on this?
Oh no, yeah, that's right after this.
Okay.
Yes.
I read one of them, and it made me chuckle.
Anybody else? Yeah.
I love the ending.
Do you want it like this? Do you want it like this? Well, the place I printed this from is called lulu.com. To buy my books, please follow me on Instagram because I'm going to open a shop personally on my Instagram. So if you want to buy ours, you have to go to my Instagram, which I'm going to post all the Instagram stuff at the end. But if you want to print your stuff privately, lulu.com prints your books. Please click the word private Because if you put this out on the market, you might get sued. So don't do that.
Yeah, if
Click
you don't
private.
click private, it will publicly publish it.
And send it to like Amazon and
Yeah.
Barnes and Noble because it's
And
a self-publishing company.
Like, for example, Voltron. The lawyers of Voltron
Will come at us and try. So don't do that. Click private, because from private you can buy your own copies, and they sell it to you at the base price. Like I paid $7 for this, and I plan on selling it for $12, so I can make a profit. Not horrible. Anybody else?
This is more of like I need advice kind of thing.
Sure.
So I do like role plays on Discord and stuff, and I have a dude that's like, he's perpetually sad, and he's too angsty, and I'm not sure how to like make him like, not as angsty without like changing his personality. Is there a way to?
Are you trying to change it for a story, or are you trying to trying to change it for the role play itself?
Well, I'm trying to like just lessen off of this perpetual sadness to like get them.
You might have to introduce something that's going to give him hope. When you have a character that's angst, you have to give them a small bit of hope.
For example, Lion's Change. Keith's development slowly changes because of the catalyst of having Lance in his life. And then we add more catalyst, which is an event or a person or something that allows him to kind of switch out of wherever he was into who he becomes.
So you have to introduce some form of hope, something that's
At
going to
that
want
point,
to drive them to get out of
It's
the
a development of the character at that point.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're forcing a change. It's just
You're forcing the event around them.
you're
to change.
growing.
That's the best way to do it. Don't change the character per se. Change the event and situation in which they're in, because they will develop the character.
Yes.
Anybody else? No?
I have a question,
Oh,
but I don't
yeah.
really know where to go with it.
Okay.
So, actually, just yesterday,
Uh-huh.
I got a message from somebody who asked me if they could make a comic from one of my fics, and that's the first time anybody's ever asked me that they want to make fan art or anything. Like any suggestions as far as I don't know. I just don't know how to treat it. I'm so excited, but I don't want people to just see their comic and go, oh, okay, this is what they made. Like, I want them to make sure that they realize that this is based on something.
Yeah,
Step one, thank them for being so nice.
I'm so happy already.
I would say that what you should do is, if you are going to allow them to make the comic off of what you've written, have them credit and link back to you, saying this is what it was inspired by.
And most times when they are creating fan art for you, they're going to do that anyway. Because the whole point of, oh my god, I love this fic so much, I want to create art for it, the hidden message behind it is, I want other people to read it.
Yeah.
Like, Lion's Chain started getting people to read it because someone posted an entire thing on Tumblr on how it's their favorite fan fiction of all time. And that's how we started getting a fan base, and they linked it back.
They did.
Steam started getting more readers because the cosplayer who did that, she has a following. And all of a sudden, their followers started coming into the fan fiction because they linked the fan fiction to it. So the big piece is ask them, credit us please, and can you please post a link? And even with commissions, I've done it where I've ordered a commission, and I go, when you post it publicly, can you just do me a favor and link my fan fiction to it? And 9 out of 10 times, the commissioner's going to be like, heck yeah, oh, here you go. And it's great advertisement. Anybody else? No? Start reading.
Okay. So I'm going to read the shorter one first. I think this is the shorter one? Yeah, this is the shorter one. Alright, so every time I see this name, I remind me of her, and I giggle. Yeah. On the day that Edward Elric discovered The Hobbit, he knew his life and his perception of his stature was changed forever. Before this, he believed that his lack of height would prevent him from following the footsteps of the greatest being the verse had ever known, Darth Vader. Darth Vader, the great hero who had cured cancer and solved world hunger before blowing up the moon with the Death Star. Closing the novel with a whisper of the pages, however, his confidence was renewed. The moon may have been destroyed, but he was still the Full Metal Alchemist. After all, if Darth Vader could accomplish a big task being so tiny, then anything was possible. Edward, a voice called out from behind. Startled out of his thoughts, Edward swung around to face the new... Sorry, I may be a teacher, but I haven't gotten my teacher reading back yet, because students aren't back yet. Newcomer. Darth Vader stood in the doorway, looking down at Edward and breathing his muffled and raspy breath through a sleek black helmet. Edward gulped, for his mentor was standing above him, glaring down with scornful eyes that couldn't be seen. Edward realized he was shorter than Darth Vader. As he stared As he stared up at him, he thought, flip. Edward stepped back, a shaky, weak laugh escaping his lips. Why, he asked, why did you commit an unspeakable action? Raspy breathing filled the silence as the question hung in the air. You are not yet tall enough to understand my reasoning. Edward crossed his arms with a grimace. However, before he could speak, Darth Vader held up a hand to beckon Edward closer. Actually, it wasn't a beckon at all. Darth Vader has done the thing that all tall people ever do. I know this thing. Using his hand, he showed the difference in their height, much to Edward's horror, much like Dantooine. You are too small to be bothered with, came the deep, raspy voice from the unfeeling metal mask. Edward was shocked. How could this happen? His mentor, his idol, his metaphorical father. Calling him too short? Too short to be worth the trouble? Tears welled in Edward's eyes. Then he remembered. He remembered the hardships of the heroes in his books. And so, feeling as if they were cheering him on, he said a single word, no. I will be bothered with, teach me your secret, tell me why you're a meanie, and maybe I'll let you go. Nah, Edward said. Then he ducked between Darth Vader's legs and ran away. Teaching high school, most of my students are taller than me. I'm wearing like 3.5 inch heels, so. Okay, this is the one that I actually read ahead of time, so maybe I won't laugh. There was a time many years ago that the humans ruled the earth, but now thousands of years later it is time for the elves. This is the story of Lego, Legolas' lesser-known cousin, who was an intelligence stat of 1 in D&D. He is most known for how he tripped and fell while watching anime while riding a ride on Disney. Thankfully, he was just dreaming, and he was actually known for being a mighty warrior. Lego sat up and looked around. He saw his comrades and enemy alike dead around him. Wincing in pain, he removed the arrow from his shoulder. Why was he out for so long? He stood up because with an intelligence stat of 1 in D&D, he didn't know to check for areas he was losing blood from, like his shoulder. His closest friend commented, Lego, your shoulder. Lego would look down at his shoulder. Surprisingly enough, he knew what a shoulder was. He gazed at the crimson blood now oozing out of the gaping hole he had created for himself. Slowly the elf would lift his hand to the wound and would wipe some of the blood away. He gave it a good stare, then looked at his friend. Did you spill this wine on me? God damn it, Lego. No one really understood how it was even possible for Lego to be born with a natural 1 for his intelligence. Hell, he shouldn't even be alive with that stat that low. And yet, here he was, somehow. His closest friend just blinked in response, stunned into silence. So stunned that he too ended up with an arrow in his shoulder. Thankfully, his intelligence level was significantly higher than 1. Rather than stand around asking about wine, he began searching for the source of the attack. Something that you might not expect from a close friend named Bob. This proved to be fatal for poor Lego, however. Apparently, it is fairly easy to bleed out from the shoulder if one doesn't properly bind the wound. Coming back from his fruitless search, Bob saw Lego's pale body crumpled on the grass, and his shoulders dropped. Thanks, man. Bob sighed quietly before feeling a twisting feeling in his gut. With Lego dead, the curse upon Bob had finally been lifted, and a surge of power wells up within him. Yes, finally, my rightful place as the protagonist has been returned to me. All at once, Bob heard a cackle that echoed through the sky and rang through the trees like cold thunder. My new protagonist, may your tragedy bring endless entertainment to my readers. With that, the storyteller Drossmeyer took a sip of tea and dipped his goose feather quill into a fresh ink.
And that's why I love that activity. So again, we're Luna Volpus on AO3. We'll leave this up so you guys can have our tags. If you have any questions, feel free to come up as we start breaking down everything, because we do kind of have to leave the room. Just, because other people need to use it. If you do read any of our fan fiction, if you do read any of our fan fiction, please leave comments and tell us that you participated in our panel. If you follow us on anything, please tell us. I do reply to almost anything anyone ever leaves us.
And if you're really lucky, I reply.
Yeah, like if on Instagram, if you DM us, I'll always end it with /L for Luna. And then every so often, like 50 comments in, you'll get a random hello V.
We've actually had a reader who, I guess you were busy with baby or something was going on and she couldn't respond, and so I actually got the message. And I was like, I know the answer to this one. So I responded, and it was just /V. And the person lost their mind.
It's you, the mysterious pulpit. Because I'm the more vocal one. I'm the one that tends to do all the social media stuff. But she still reads everything. That's the fun part. It's like, yeah, I might do everything. She reads it all. So don't think. And we also have our private ones. I'm Paper Rabbit. She's J Knight. So we also have our own private Tumblrs and Twitters and Instagrams. Mine is mostly a cosplay one.
Mine's not very active right now.
No. Hers is. I live streamed a cat yesterday. It was fun. It was cute.
Yeah, I have a 15-pound cat, and there was a 7-week-old kitten that we brought into the house, and they were playing.
So it was a 20-minute live stream watching them play.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
It was cute.
Once I finally move into an actual home, I do Figma photography. If anyone knows what Figma and Dendroids are, that's what I do on my Instagram. I have a collection of about 30. I don't know how many I have.
It's too many, and there's more coming.
So yeah, I do that, and as well as every so often we end up getting together and see pictures.
Yeah. Well, and we like if we host panels, I like to do live streams of them.
So if you can't make it to a panel,
you can always live stream it, and then I also post it then afterward on YouTube.
Yes.
So you can rewatch this panel later on YouTube. Enjoy. But yes, please read us. If you want to come look at the books, you're more than welcome to come look at them. I just ask that you take really nice care because they're going to Canada in a week, and I don't want to ruin their copy of the prize that they worked so hard to earn. So please, enjoy, look at them, but take care of them. Don't overfold them because I want to send it nicely to Canada. All right, so thank you guys for coming. We can go. We need to go to the room for him.
I just wanted to let you know, if you do want me to commission you a shirt, I do actually have an SE. These are shirts that I make. If you scroll down, you can see the K-Tour one too, but I mostly have plants. Voltron Camp has not taken down the plant shirt yet, but they did take down the other one. I got a cease and desist. I was making like almost $1,000 off of it. Yeah. But if you're interested in wanting a commission,
so bad. Yeah,
I can.
Did you follow us on Instagram or anything?
I haven't yet.
When you do, DM me and remind me that you're the person who does this. That's who I'll probably contact you because once I'm out of my maternity leave rut, I will probably be asking you to make
like the K-Tour one was literally a whole month for somebody because I was going back and forth with the mother for the girl's birthday, and I was like, but I'm a Clans fan, and I'm like, but it's money.
I'm a multi-shipper, so
I'm a multi-shipper, but it's like Clans is still my favorite.
Yeah, Clans is OTP, but
I'm actually wearing this one tomorrow. It says My Chemical Romance underneath it.
Yes! Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yes, please DM me so that I know that you.
We saw the Best Buy one too, right?
Yes.
Wrong, so you're asking for
Cute, perfect.
sketches.
DM me again, so that I know who you are.
For some wall masters that you have, I already got like 6,000 per ad and things down.
Right, and it's like,
now it's like we've kind of
DM me because then that's how I remember things.
kind of went crazy.
And I just started writing like a little bit. I am one.
And it's like I'm not sure
Writing is good. Like,
Yeah,
it's always good to try.
Especially yet.
our perspective would be because I kind of just wanted to go and just like finish the first hour and like just show it to him and be like do you like this, what's amazing? But then again, at the same time, I'm not sure like if you feel like I'm just trying to hijack